Hi, welcome to Sideline Shenanigans. I'm Brian Jones, your host. Welcome, everybody. Please welcome Coach Mosley from Beech Grove High School. Coach, welcome.
How you doing, guys? Appreciate you having me, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, Coach, what got you into coaching in the first place?
Man, that's a really good question, man. I coming strong. I feel the interview already. Um, so I played football. Obviously, I'm from Indianapolis, so I played at
Hmm.
Tech. I kind of like always look at it like I feel like it was something that I was meant to do. I played at the Division 1 level. I played at Northern Illinois, and then I played at Indiana State. And I
Really?
always tell my kids, like the way that I made it to that level, it wasn't because I was the most athletic or the most talented guy. It was because like I made sure like I looked more athletic because I knew the game a little bit more. So I would always ask questions. So I just always felt like once I was done playing, it'll suit me to be a coach. Now I didn't get into education early, and I didn't really want to be a
Mm.
coach, but my big brother inspired me. He actually he coaches at SEMO now. He is a girls basketball coach at a Division 1 level. He was like, man, once you get done playing, man, get into coaching. So it was a bit of him inspiring me. And then looking back, I'm like, I was made to do it because I'm always a guy that was trying to learn the game and trying to figure out the best way to put myself in position to be successful.
Wow, I actually went to Indiana State, so that's
Really?
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love Indiana State, man. Me and Coach Mallory text all the time. He's the head coach there, and just got a really good relationship with those guys. So actually, when I interviewed for my first head coaching position, the assistant head coach at Indiana State wrote me a really good letter of recommendation. So I've got a good relationship with those guys.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get into like some situation. What's your favorite play to call on 4th and 1?
I'm a power guy, man. Power.
Yes.
Let's line up. Let my guys beat your guys. So I'm definitely power.
How do you simplify your playbook without dumbing it down?
That's a question. That's a good question. When you talk about simplifying it, so I try to like put the blunt load of like the knowledge or the things that kids have to know on the positions that are typically more capable of. So like we want our
Mhm.
O linemen to play super fast, so we keep everything the same for them, and then we kind of like tweak the back end of it, maybe tweak the coverage a little bit, or tweak what the receivers do, or tweak alignment on the running backs, but try to keep it. When we say keep it simple, we just add tags to certain plays that we already have. So we tell our kids like, hey man, we have these 5 or 6 plays, but once we start adding tags, then they can get into different plays. But in their head, they're like, oh, it's just the same as power. So when he add this extra tag, it's just power, but I'm doing something a little differently. But really,
Mhm.
that's actually a whole new play. But you just kind of like trick them into knowing more than what they think they know.
Okay, okay. What's your favorite blitz package and when do you use it?
So my problem, and this is actually a problem of mine. I just hired a new defensive coordinator. He's more of a blitzer.
Mm.
I'm not a big blitz guy. I just
Really?
I'm a so we read keys very, very well. So I'm like a big, if you read your key really, really well, then it can look like a blitzer. You could play a little bit faster. So I personally, I'm not a big blitz guy. I'm a key, but my that comes from my background of being a defensive lineman. I'm like, I shouldn't have to blitz if my 4 guys can get after the quarterback. So I'm like a
Right.
get 4 guys, teach them how to pass rush, and then we don't have to blitz. But um I'm a big inside double A. Like when I'm sending pressure, it's coming in the A gaps, and I'm double A gapping it and trying to get pressure in the face of the quarterback when it's coming.
Okay, coach. How do you handle when the player is going through a tough time off the field? What's your strategy to like help them and make sure they're doing okay?
The biggest thing is and truthfully, the biggest thing about coaching is that man, the X's and O's and the wins and losses matter. But the biggest thing that you can do is really develop a relationship with your kids. Like I think that's kind of
Mhm.
like what my strong suit is. And when I'm interviewing coaches, that's what I'm looking for is like, can we create an atmosphere where our kids love us, our kids trust us, and that in turn will make them want to work harder. When we talk about kids going through troubling times, like that's why I got into coaching is to be a mentor. Um, So to get those guys through that, man, you listen and you offer advice and you give them sometimes the hard truths about the situation that they're in and the things that they need to do. Um, but it all starts with creating a
Mhm.
relationship with them, creating a relationship with their parents where they know, hey, Coach Mosley's in my corner, and no matter what happens, he'll have my back and I can depend on him. Right. I had a really tough conversation with one of my players yesterday about playing ball in
Mhm.
college and just having that relationship with him. He's like, man, hey, can I talk to you? So that's just kind of how what that's what I think coaching is about. Like it's easy to drop a good scheme, but it's hard to get kids to really, really care about their team and care about you. And that's where the real difference comes in at.
I imagine you wear more hats than just coach. How do you see your role in these kids' lives outside of football?
And that's the truth, right? Just being a mentor, right? Being someone who can offer them life advice. A lot of guys, especially the climate that we live in, kids make the wrong decisions sometimes, or kids just need someone to look up to say, "Hey, man, this is what it's like." When I was in high school, I looked up to my head coach, right, and that's the guy who kind of paid me and showed me what it was like to be a man. Because sometimes you don't have those options, or you don't have those people to see. So no matter what hat I have on, whether I'm Coach Mosley, whether I'm Mr. Mosley in the classroom, whether I'm a
Mm,
mentor, whether kids looking at me as a father figure, right? Those morals and those values that I have won't change, right? So I can wear different hats, but I'm always going to be someone who's going to advocate for kids to do the right thing, be good people, right? Be a good person, be a good brother, be a good mother, be a
mhm,
good father, and that's kind of how I can blend all of those different hats that I wear. Because at the end of the day, right, we're going to do things the right way. We're going to be caring. We're going to be loving. We're going to be respectful. And no matter
mhm.
what hat I wear, that's the moral of what we do here.
Okay, okay. How do you prepare for teams with super athletic talent?
Um, when you run into athletes, there's a couple ways to do it. We're a big zone team, so you can zone up and make sure that they can't beat you with speed. Or another thing you can do is, like you said earlier, is put pressure on the quarterback. Right, if you got the speed and you got talent, all right, well, we're
Mhm,
going to put so much pressure on you that you don't get to use your speed. Right, you can't run down the field because we'll send some pressure. You won't have a chance to get it there. Some people play back. I've heard a coach say, and this was some good advice he gave me. Like when people are like, especially like think about corners, like, hey man, you're going against a really, really fast receiver. You want to play off and give them some space so they can run. But he's like, that's actually not a good technique, right? You play against guys that are really fast. You really want to get into them and not be able to not let them stride out and get into their stride and get into their speed. You want to be able to put hands on them, knock them off route. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. It depends on where the speed is. Is it at the receiver position, right? Or like they got a really, really fast quarterback. So I think that'll be really dependent on like where the speed of that team is. Like now, if the whole team is fast, we gotta beat them with physicality, right? They gotta feel us, right? We gotta slow the game down sometimes. Sometimes we gotta run the ball and protect the clock and not give guys the ball back. So it's a lot of different strategic ways you can slow down speed.
Um, what's your favorite NFL or college coach to learn from?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I'm a Bears fan, and I don't know if the Bears coaches are the coaches that I need to follow from. I'm a big Tomlin guy, big Saban guy. Those type of people who are just good people. Um, do things the right way and try to like build a system. Like I think it's easy to get a good team here and there, but the
Mhm,
team like Belichick's who can build a really good team,
yes.
and no matter what kind of players you got in here, our morals stay the same, our values stay the same, our principles stay the same, and then we'll get guys that fit our system. It's a little bit harder in high school because you deal with the talent that you get. But once you realize that talent don't matter, man, once you are able to execute and be good people and do things the right way, that's when you start building those systems. So I'm a big Saban, Tomlin, freaking Tony Dungy. I've been reading Tony Dungy's book, so stuff like that. I love Dungy. You're not a coach guy, man?
I like I'm not a Mike Tomlin fan, no.
I like Tomlin, man.
I the so my friends, some 2 of the guys on the podcast, they're Steeler fans, and there's this episode where I just crap on Mike Tomlin almost the whole
Oh, you
episode.
really? Oh man, I like Tomlin, man.
Unfortunately,
He's a system guy.
I call him the master of mid.
Hey,
It's like
it's hard to never have a losing season. That is hard.
Yeah, but, like, how? You know?
Never have a losing season, but got one Super Bowl out of it. I feel it. I understand.
What's your approach to player mental health?
Man, that's a touchy subject, especially when it comes to our kids, man. And it goes back to what we say, right? Is create a relationship. Like, and I advocate for like, especially young coaches that's getting into the game. I'm a young coach myself, but young
Mhm.
coaches that's getting into the game, like, make sure that you know your kids, man, and you show your kids that you care about them, right? Truly, truly care about them and want the best for them. And if a kid's like, hey, man, I'm just going through a lot, then we got to slow it down, right? We got to figure out exactly what you need. So always build a real relationship with your kids so they can be honest with you and tell you how they're feeling. But when it comes to like kids and their mental health, man, you take those things seriously. You take them very, very seriously.
Okay, so I'm asked, like, some game day practice management questions now. What's your game day schedule from morning to kickoff?
So morning, mine personally, or how do I approach the game, or my team schedule? What do I have the players do?
Well, it could go at why not just do both? Why not?
So me, I wake up at about, so our school starts at about 9. I think the first class starts. So I get up pretty early. I'm not especially in the season, I don't sleep a lot. So I'm probably up all night watching some game film, cleaning up some stuff.
Mm,
Wake up at about 6, get a nice little light breakfast in and just kind of like think about the game and think about what our biggest things are. Once we get in the classroom, I'll say I teach a class. I teach human services, so we talk about like being a good person. I teach human services and run into a lot of my kids during the day and just seeing where they head. I might send out some text messages, some key kids that might be key for the game plan. Reach out to the quarterback and see what he's feeling like. And then so game day is real. So I'm a big like don't I'm a big you don't really coach much on game day. I tell my kids like game day
mm,
is for you. Right? That's the day that you show me that you understood what we were saying during the week. I tell my coaches all the time, like, you got to do a lot of coaching on game day, then we didn't do a good enough job during the week. So I'm pretty laid back on game day. Every kid should kind of know what is expected of them, what we need to do. We make adjustments, not saying that, but like if I'm putting game plan stuff in on game day, then it wouldn't really be a really good day. So I'm pretty laid back and kind of let the kids have some fun and we ask a lot of our kids, especially when it comes to football. We ask a lot of our kids so I feel like game day is their day. That's the day you get to have fun, right? You get to be locked
mhm.
in. You get to have a good time, and it's my time to reap. It's your turn to reap the benefit of the hard work that you put in. So I'm a really laid back guy on game day.
How do you handle bad officiating while staying composed?
That's a tough one too. I'm so it's like you get some coaches on your staff who you kind of like designate to say, hey man, or you kind of get to know your staff where I know my staff enough to, if it's a bad call, they'll say something. So I typically have to play good cop because some of my coaches are kind of like, hey man, so I play good cop. I try to be the reasonable guy. It is kind of hard sometimes because you might feel like you got a really bad call. I got some really good advice one time from Will Patterson. And one time we were playing, I coached at LC before I came here, and
Mhm,
it was this one pass interference that was just a crazy pass interference call. And instead of him like yelling or just getting really upset at the referee, he asked the ref in this subtle way. He said, how do you want me? Like he said, how should I coach my guy to make a play on the ball then? And basically it was kind of like being nice about it, but he was basically telling the ref, like, that was a bad call. Like, what more could I have done to tell my player to not get a pass interference? And that's kind of like my approach. So when we getting bad calls, and sometimes you just got to kind of be real straightforward and like get to the rule book. Like, hey man, like if he put his hand down in their motion, if he picks their hand up, it's a false start. And sometimes you
mhm.
just be straightforward. But truth be told, like I feel like that's a battle that like there's no good way to go about it. You just gotta play the game because I feel like no matter what I say, you get some rest that'll be like, all right, what number I'll look out for it, I'll look at it, and then you'll get some rest. It's like, let me rest. So I just try to stay out of it, try to
Mm.
really focus on our guys and try to get them coached up and doing things the right way. And try to get it out the refs' hands a little bit.
Yeah, with coaches, you gotta have that one coach to be like, "Hey!"
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, I got one. And sometimes I like sick them on people. Like, hey man, I'm like, hey, did you see that? He's like, I'll go talk to him now. I'm like, good. Like I don't want to be the guy.
I loved the coach who wanted to be the bad cop because they were
Oh yeah,
always
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
I
best
got one for
coach.
sure. I got one. I might have one too many.
How do you structure your walkthrough before a game?
Oh,
Like the day before the game?
so football is just such a mental thing that the walkthrough before game is highly important, man. We try to focus on we get into game plan and stuff. Like we try to focus on the top fives or the top six top run plays, the top six pass plays, their top coverages, their top blitzes, and be ready to handle those and then adjust based off of that. When we talk about walkthroughs, the things that we walk through are what are their top runs, what are their top passes, what do they really want to do, and just also like as you walk through, giving players tips on like, hey, keys, hey, this alignment, what do they like to do out of this alignment? Who's a key player? Like, would you rather have this guy to get the ball or this guy get the ball? What are your read key? Where should you be looking at? Those are kind of the things that we kind of like preach, especially our walkthrough, like heavy on eyes, heavy on personnel, heavy on alignments, and then heavy on stopping those plays.
What's your favorite game day snack or meal?
So I used to be like super nervous. My first ever college game, I was really nervous, and I used to start eating Airheads. So now, like, either I chew gum. I got a coach actually who brings me gum on game day, like gum or like Airheads. Then I'll be level headed. I remember my first game coaching at Beech Grove. I was so nervous. I'm like, I'm about to pass out, and my coach was like, here's some gum. So gum or Airheads is my favorite like candy snack.
Okay, okay. Back when I was playing, I'm from a small town, as we talked about. Um, I would go to the gas station, get some chicken, and you know the breast sodas or the
Yeah,
teas? Yeah,
yeah.
I would eat chicken, potato
Before
wedges,
game,
breast tea. Yeah, I was I felt
what
great.
man? A chicken for a game would scare me. We feed the kids like spaghetti, like we're big pasta, chicken Alfredo, stuff like that. But chicken
Mhm.
before a game, I feel like back in my high school days, though, I could eat anything before a game. I would have been fine. So I feel it.
What's your biggest pet peeve as a coach?
Uh, that's a good question too. I would say it's a lot of them. I actually got a lot. My biggest thing is I would say parents.
Mm,
I think parents that like what we're trying to do is you hear me talk about like we're trying to create a system, right? I'm trying to create a
mhm,
system of accountability. We talk about accountability a lot. We talk about being consistent. So when we have like these structures and these pillars as a team that we want to work off of, and then we get like parents who counteract that, or parents who like, hey man, my son is tired today, so he doesn't need to come to practice. And it's like, man, we're trying to um build some strain in our kids, right? There's some days that I don't want to go
mhm.
to work, but I understand I
Right.
want the reward that work gives me, right? I want the paycheck. So I got to go to work sometimes when I'm tired, right? So it's like our kids
Absolutely.
sometimes they want these rewards. Coach, on Friday, I want to score a touchdown, but on Tuesday I was tired, so I didn't have to come to practice, right? And then I love parents to say like, hey man, hey, little Johnny, like, I know you're tired, but come Friday when you don't play, you're going to be upset at the coach. That's not his fault. You need to go to practice. Those are the parents I love. But then when you get parents like, hey, man, like Johnny's been working hard, so he's not going to come to practice. It's like, man, that's kind of like push. It's like going against the things that we're trying to build, and it's also like instilling in the kids that, hey, man, when I'm tired, I don't got to work hard. That's not true in life. Like if you're tired, you got to go to work, or just don't get paid. But you also, I tell my kids like, don't be upset, man, when you don't play or when you
Mhm.
aren't getting the reward that you want because you're not working as hard as you think that you are. So like my pet peeve is like having that conversation with kids, but then going back and parents like, nah, he don't have to go, or like like all of those pillars, like not just being consistent, but like also accountability. Like, hey man, like your son missed the block, right? I got on him about it. It's like, he missed the block though, but like, no, let's not create excuses for kids, right? You got to make this block. If you don't, then that's the consequences. You missed the block, I get to chew you out or something like that.
Yeah,
So
right?
being consistent, I think it just we live in a day and age where like a lot of kids want different things. Like they want to be biggest thing is like kids want to play Division 1. Like I'm like, hey man, I'm D1. Like, man, are you putting in a D1 effort? Like, are you working at that level? Right. And then when you tell them
Right.
no, some kids are like, okay, hey, we'll grind. Some parents are like that too. But then you get the few that's like, nah, I am. Like, I'm good enough. It's like, nah, they don't just pick you because you're talented. They're not going to just
Right.
pick you because you're bigger, because you're fast. You got to pull it up, put all that in. I'm sorry I'm rambling. I apologize.
Nah, like I completely agree. When an athlete has an ego so big that they think, "Oh, I'm automatically gonna go
Yeah.
D1."
Oh, yeah.
No, you got to think about the academics. If coaches actually want you,
Yeah.
like, I mean, come on. What's the funniest moment you've had on the sidelines?
That's a, what's the funniest moment that I've had? I don't know. I feel like on game days, like to me, if you know my personality, I'm like I joke too much and I play like I'm in my role because I'm just a fun person. So it would have to be just like I joke around with the kids sometimes. So it'll have to be like a moment where a kid says, like my kids will say some crazy funny stuff. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but like I remember actually for Trident Central, we played Trident Central, and they were beating us pretty bad last year. And our quarterback threw a pass. It hit our receiver's hand, and it bounced off of it. And the ref blew the whistle, right? But he blew the whistle too early because it bounced off of our receiver hands and it went over his head, and it was an interception. But because he blew the whistle inadvertently, we had to start the play over. And it was a funny moment because like the kid from Tri Central, he wasn't upset. He wasn't mad. He was just joking, like, you took my interception. That was a funny moment because I'm like, everybody on the sidelines laughing. The ref is like shaking his head, like, dang, I messed up. And instead of getting chewed out, like everybody laughed. Like they were beating us. The kid could have been upset, but it was like, the ref is looking at her like he would not look back. He was just standing still. And we talked to him like, yeah, thank you. Thank you for not giving us the interception. It was good. It was a good
Right,
moment. But
right,
almost like
right.
I'm a jokester, man. I have fun with our kids, man. I try to.
Okay, okay. I like that. I like to joke around. I'm not serious at all. But when I do get serious, I am actually
Yeah, that's
serious.
how I am too. And I be feeling bad for the kids sometimes. It's like I joke so much that like sometimes like I'm not playing. It's time to lock in. And they know when I'm serious now. But at first I was like, all right, y'all playing too much. Let's run. And they like, well, we were just joking. Nah, it's not joke time. So now they know the difference. But before I felt bad, I'm like, I play too much with them, and now they play too much. Now they play like me.
Which coach, past or present, would you love to have dinner with?
Dicka.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, let's go.
That's a good one.
Me and Dicka, we go get us a deep dish pizza and we just talk about some football, man. That'll be a that's a couple. There's a couple coaches on that list though. Like
Name them off. We
Dicka,
got time.
you might take Dicka. I take Tomlin. I take Tony Dungy too.
I'd like to do like Nick Saban, Paul Bear
Saban would be a
Bryant.
good one, but I think Saban put out like so much content that you can kind of like already know what he think. I wonder if I can count Andrew Luck though. I did see him taking some snaps at quarterback, like practicing with the Stanford team. So I wonder
Yeah, I saw that.
if
I
I
saw
could
that
put
on
him in the
Instagram.
bracket as a coach, I would take an interview with him too.
I would do like you said, Tomlin. I would do Nick Saban.
Saban's
Heck,
a good one.
Lane Kiffin. You
Oh,
ever
that
meet
is a
Lane
good one.
Kiffin?
That'll be a guy to pick his brain. Oh yeah, that'll be a good one.
I would love to do yeah,
Who's the
uh,
Chargers? Who's the Chargers? Not the Chargers.
Harbaugh,
Oh no, not Belichick. Who's the Chargers? He was just with Michigan.
Jim
Jesus.
Harbaugh.
Yeah, I would take. Oh Jesus, put me with Jim.
All
Jim
right,
would
I
be good.
like that. What's the weirdest fan interaction you've ever had? Like with just like someone you didn't even know?
As a coach,
Yeah,
uh, weirdest fan interaction. We always get. It's. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know if we call them fans, but it's always like It's always the parent. It's always, especially in today and age. It's like always one parent. Because you got to think, man. You make a decision, especially like as a head coach, man. You make a decision for the betterment of the team, and the team might have 100 kids on it. We're talking about 100 kids. Each kid got mom and dad. That's another 200. We're at 300. 20 coaches. So it's like it's just so many people that are like invested in some way in the team that when you make a
Mhm.
decision that everybody won't agree with the things that you do or the decision that you made, and it's always a parent or someone that's like, you are an idiot. And those interactions, that though you ignore them, like I encourage like to have conversations and thoughtful conversations, but like those are the interactions. Last year we had a kid um who it was like a scuffle in the field, and he like ran on the field, and because he ran on the field, I threw him out the game. I'm like, hey, we can't do that, right? You can't run on the field. And the parent was just like, no, like he can. I'm like, no, he cannot. So like those moments where parents just disagree with you and they want to be rude about it, like those are the worst interactions. Like parents who disagree with you and say, hey, like I've had conversations with parents where they're like, hey, I disagree with you, but hey, I understand or I respect it. Like those are cool. But parents that are like, Mr. Mosley, you're an idiot because my son, you don't throw the ball to my son, those are terrible. Those are the worst interactions. But I'm like, okay, whatever.
What's your favorite underdog story in football?
Ooh. It was definitely so when I played for I told my kids this story. When I played for Northern Illinois, well, I was a freshman. And we played, it was like week 2 or maybe week 1 in 2014. We played Northwestern. And I remember going to school, and I told my kids this story because it was such an eye-opening moment for me, and it made me realize a lot of stuff. But
Mhm.
when we was at Northern Illinois, we played at the school, we played Northwestern. And the entire week that we were playing this team, everybody would say the same thing. Like all the teachers would be like, hey, like there's no way you guys are going to beat a Big Ten school. Just don't get blown out. Like don't get it, don't let it get ugly. So this whole week, you got to think I'm from Indianapolis. I went to Tech High School. So it's like we never really like had an underdog story. Like we kept it close with some teams that we shouldn't have been close with, but we never actually like beat a team outright that we should have beat that we shouldn't have. Like I've never had that experience. So when as a freshman, when I'm playing and everybody like, there's just no way you're going to win this game. And I remember after the first half of the game, we were losing, I think by a touchdown or two. And I walk into the locker room. And as a freshman, like I told you, we've never beat anybody we weren't supposed to. So I
Mhm.
walk in the locker room as a freshman, and I'm like, good game, guys. We lost this one. And like everybody in that locker room were like, are you crazy? Like, we're about to win this game. And I'm like, what makes y'all think we're going to win this game? Like, we're losing. It's a Big Ten school. Everybody said we're going to lose. I just never knew that those things exist. And we were down a half, and everybody just looked at me like we're winning. Like and the way that they said it, like they believed it. And long story short, like we ended up winning that game. And then we win that game. And then at NIU, we had a lot of like we call them boneyard victories, how they just beat Notre Dame. Like we had a lot of those, and it made me realize as a coach, like sometimes it doesn't matter who's bigger, faster, stronger. It's who will do their job the most. And we are saying that NIU is the hard way. And it made me realize like we got to do our job when it's hard, like when it's not easy. And that was my best underdog story. That was the one I learned the most from because it's like I was the person who never had an underdog story, and I thought we would lose. And all these guys are like, no, we believe that we'll execute. We believe that we will do our job and they'll stop. And they did. And I think we won. And I wasn't my best win of all time, but it was a really, really good win for us.
So I remember sitting in Rhodes Hall. You know where Rhodes Hall is
Yeah.
at Indiana State. I was sitting in my dorm watching the game. And I was last second when they blocked the field goal. I was
Yeah.
like, "That's wild."
It was
I was
crazy.
like,
It was
"No,
crazy. It's sometimes, man, you just look at those matchups. I'm like, there's no way they win this game. And as the game go on and it gets closer and it's still close, like it's. I'm like, oh, they're about to pull it off. And when they block that, I'm like, wow, they just pulled this win off.
how do you develop linemen, like smaller linemen, like guys who are 5'11", 250, I would say."
So we talk about development. We're talking about getting a kid like that early. Um,
Mm.
Biggest thing is strength, man. Get a really, really good strength and conditioning program. Like guys can be undersized, like can be a little bit shorter. But if you can be strong at the point of attack, um, I'll take that over a bigger guy any day. So biggest thing is like get those guys stronger. Like guys that are undersized and you play O-line, D-line, like you need to love the weight room. Like you need to love that more than anything because you're already outmatched with size. But if you can beat a guy with the strength, right, and then you teach those guys impeccable technique, right? They got to be really, really good at hand placement. They got to be really, really
Mhm.
good at their first step. Right? They got to be really, really good at their pad level. And if you can get a guy who, yeah, I'm undersized, but I'm super strong and I play with very, very good technique, and those guys are always better than the guys who are like, hey, I'm big, but I'm not that strong and I don't have really good technique. Technique, pad level, hand placement, and feet will win
Mhm.
90% of the time, and the strength will take over that other 10. So that's weight room and technique.
Absolutely. How do you coach up players with raw athleticism but low IQ?
That's that's a good question too. You get that a lot. So we talk about low IQ, and we say, let's say we get a kid who just got low IQ. The biggest thing about IQ, man, is it's developed over time. Like you don't some kids just don't have like I deal with a lot of kids who like never played the game football before. Like a lot of freshmen
Mhm.
come in and never playing a game. So first thing you do is you get their technique back. Like I'll take a kid with raw athleticism, but they want to learn the sport. Like I want to be good because then they'll put in the time. So the biggest thing is like developing them as far as like eyes. Like where should your eyes be on a given play? Like we're big on like eyes, big on reading keys and being able to react off those keys, and then your athleticism to show. Like so, if my eyes need to be on the number 2 receiver, right? And I played D line. So I'll talk about it in a D line perspective. I played D line. When I was at LC, we had a kid named Josh Mickens. He played at Ohio State right now, and to get him to play faster, we would just say that's how we develop any of our D linemen, right? Is where should your eyes be? So who's your key, right? Whoever it
Mhm.
is. Now you got to get to the point where we identify 3 things that a lineman can do, or they can only do 3 things. And if you as a player can react fast off of the 3 things that they can do, then you can play fast. So you got raw athleticism. You put that athleticism in the ability to play fast, and then you put that on top of you having really good eyes, and you become a really good player, right? The 3 things that the lineman can do is he can down block, he can base block,
Mhm.
or he can reach block, right? And if you can get those 3, like if you can get fast off of reacting to those 3 things, then you'll play faster, right? And then once you get good at that, then I can say, hey, now there's a sniffer back there, right? So now we're building your IQ. So IQ, so starting to build that
Mhm.
IQ up, all right, is a really good is really good. So you take athleticism, make them read faster, and then you start building that IQ. But it is some kids just don't have IQ, and they can still be really good as long as they play with good eyes.
All right, coach, my final question for you tonight is how this afternoon actually, how do you prevent burnout in your players?
That's a tough one too. That's what I was just. That's a really. So that's actually a question I think that a lot of high schools are facing. Like that's a. I was recently talking to a lot of different coaches, and that's something that you got to think like. So in June, we can start practicing in June, right?
Mhm.
The first game is until late August, right? So we're talking about almost a 3 month span of practicing, but not having games, right? So the answer to that question, because kids will get burnt out, and then you talk about the first game is in August, the last game of the regular season is in November, right? By November,
Mhm.
kids have been practicing since first week of June. I am tired. I'm tired of seeing you. I'm tired of seeing coaches. I'm tired of seeing players, and that's
Right.
understandable. So what we're doing, especially and last year we didn't do that, so we did get a lot of burnout. So I'm speaking from a place of like learning and trying to grow. What we're going to do is we're going to try to like gradually increase the level of practices and the number of practices and the level of intensity as the summer goes on. So I talked to
Mhm.
one of my head coaches friend. He's just like, man, in June, like we don't go against other people. It's like some one way to do it is like we practicing twice a week in June, right? And then once you hit July, ramp that up to 3 and throw in a couple scrimmages. A good way to do it is getting people like to compete again. So using those scrimmage days, have kids excited about it, but also it's like keeping that the hunger for game time. So making sure that you're not practicing too much, making sure that you're not using helmets and shoulder pads too much. Like burnout is a real thing, and you got to like really structure your practice schedule to make sure that kids are still hungry for competition and kids' bodies are still fresh so that they want to play. But That's probably the biggest question this day. I'll probably talk to maybe 5 or 6 people this summer alone about what does your summer look like? Especially you talk about
Mhm.
those successful programs. Like you'd be surprised about how many really successful programs say, "Hey, we don't practice until July," or "Hey, we don't start tackling until, or not tackling, but we don't start putting helmets and shoulder pads on until late July." So it's a really
Mhm.
kind of like not sensitive, but it's a hard thing to kind of gauge. So
Right.
that's kind of something we're going to do. And if it don't work, I'll be back on here next year and I'll tell you we got to scrap it and come up with something else.
Right, right, right. I appreciate you coming on,
No
coach.
problem.
I'm glad we have a lot in common, both defensive linemen, both went to Indiana State.
Indiana State, yeah.
One of us played college football. Obviously, it wasn't me. I'm out of shape, but
Oh, I'm out of shape now too. I probably couldn't. I asked my coach yesterday. I said he played at my new defensive coordinator. He
Mhm.
played at Ball State, and I asked him the other day. I said, "How many reps you think you can get? Like you think you still got it?" He said, "You can give me 2 reps, but do not." He said, "Don't run a fade." He was a DB. He's like, "Don't run a go." He's like, "Give me a couple hitches so I can tackle it and get out." He actually jumped into practice the other day. I got him on film running, chasing down the post. I said, "Dude, you are better than me. I could probably get
That's
you 2 good reps. That's it." And I said, "Please don't double team me. Give me a good base block. Let me hold my edge. That'll be it."
all right, Coach Mosley. I want to thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys, you have a good day, man. I appreciate you having me on.
This is Sideline Shenanigans. I'm Brian. He's Coach Mosley.
Thank
That's
you,
the end
man.
of the show.